Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Also available wherever podcasts can be found in the audio realm. If you're listening to this in the audio realm, do us a huge favor. Leave us a rating, review, or a comment. And if you're watching this on the YouTube, do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and the notify bell so you always know when you're getting your new Going in Raw content. This coming weekend on Sunday, we've got AEW Revolution, the watch along. It's going down on the Twitch and on the YouTube, followed by our live review of the show. Yep. Should be a lot of fun doing some channel point predictions betting. Of course, the Big Red Predictions Challenge is going down as well for channel members and patrons at $5 and up. If you're on YouTube, just click join and you could become the new Big Red Champion. Right now, that's a title held by Moses Opposes. However, a lot of prop bets coming up here for Revolution, including all the actual matches that are going down. As of last night, I know Wikipedia had like 7 official matches.
8.
Oh, 8.
Because
okay.
Christian versus Jungle Boy now was added to the card.
That
so 8.
is
and I wouldn't be surprised if Keith Lee versus Swerve is added to the card after Rampage on Friday.
I would imagine a couple more, not like a bunch more, because...
Oh, don't say that, Steve, because Tony Khan's going to add 5 more matches.
Well, I was going to say because you got the Danielson MJF hour-long match, but that doesn't matter. He's going to keep on upping the number of matches for each paper.
Yeah, that's my prediction. More matches.
That could be.
More than 8. We get more than 8.
So of course we're going to talk about last night's AEW Dynamite. A bunch of stuff happened, including, I guess, our expectations were for a particular tag team to come back, but that didn't happen. Instead, we got Danhausen and Orange Cassidy in that fatal 4-way match. But we're going to talk about all that stuff and a bunch more from Dynamite last night. But first, let's talk about WWE stuff.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar vetoing a match. Larson, what's up with this?
So this is from Fightful Select. They had an extensive report on the various WrestleMania pitches that were made to include Brock Lesnar. So the first, apparently, was a match with Stone Cold. Austin turned that down. Second was Gunther, but according to Fightful, those plans changed for some reason. They don't know why. Lashley then was in the mix for a Lesnar match at Mania, but ultimately the pitch was made to have Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. And according to Fightful, quote, sources familiar with the situation claimed that Brock himself nixed that idea. Finally, Lesnar was pitched a match on Amos. Fightful reporting that, quote, it was confirmed to us that Brock Lesnar personally approved the Amos match. So, question is, who came up with this match? Brock versus Amos. So, WrestleVote seemed to imply on Twitter that it was Vince McMahon. Fightful reports that they've been unable to confirm that it was Vince's idea, but added, quote, sources close to Lesnar, or at least as close as sources can get to Lesnar, had indicated that could be true. Sources in creative since last week said that it wasn't a Vince McMahon decision and that Vince McMahon has had no contact with creative directly. On the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer confirmed Fightful's reporting, stating the following, quote, Fightful reported this and I checked it out and it's definitely accurate. This was also not the original idea, but an idea for Brock Lesnar was Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. And Brock said no to that, which doesn't surprise me in the least. When I heard that story, it made all the sense in the world to me because for Brock Lesnar to be involved in that hocus pocus with the aura that he has. Originally, what was going to happen was Brock was beating Bobby Lashley in Elimination Chamber, and that was going to lead to Brock against Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, and that's why Bray Wyatt did that interview. But after they did that, they had to change the finish. That's why we ended up with Lesnar and Amos. Remember I said that this has just changed, and it changed from Wyatt, but Wyatt had also been the change, so I don't know who the original one was, but it was not Gunther. I know that. So they had 2 changes in that one in the last few weeks.
So there's been a narrative in the internet wrestling community that the sky is falling, Larson, because Vince McMahon is back at creative. Oh, my God. Right?
Yeah.
That's just my voice for the general internet wrestling community, nobody in particular. That the sky is falling because Vince is back running creative. Only Vince could have conceived of a dog shit match like this, Larson.
So you've been on the conspiracy theory kick, Steve. I have one of my own.
Yes!
So
yes, Larson's on the conspiracy train. Choo choo. What do you got, buddy?
baseless speculation. So what if there's discussion from creative and maybe Vince has some input let's present Brock with a list of ideas for matches he could have at WrestleMania and let Brock decide. So there's Bray, there's maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 different names on there. And so they prepare the list, creative does. And they send it on to Brock's way. And guess who gets on the phone with Brock? God damn it, Pat.
God damn it, Pat.
We know Vince and Brock are close. Brock was at Vince's last birthday party.
Yeah, Brock walked out.
Yeah, when Vince resigned. And so Vince makes a call to Brock, suggests, hey, take the EMOTES match. Brock agrees.
I think that's... And here's the thing. There ain't nothing even controversial about that. It's a great conspiracy theory. I love the conspiracy theory because I think that there's evidence to back that up. Look, Triple H said himself he consults with Vince. He said it. It's no secret. Nobody's breaking any news on that one. Nope. He said it himself.
Yep.
However, it still seems, but there's been no report that Vince has been there at gorilla position, at creative, running things, ripping up scripts. Maybe then we can start throwing our hands up and saying, oh my God, things are going downhill because Vince is back. Guess what? Vince isn't back. It's his company.
The company sells, and part of the deal for the company selling is Vince is back.
Right, exactly. Like, look, we'll worry about that stuff when we'll worry about it, but we're not going to drum up a bunch of paranoia and stuff because Brock Lesnar is going to, oh my God, a monster is going to take on another monster. It's really not that big of a deal. Oh, is Omos versus Roman Reigns happening at WrestleMania? No? Then stop worrying about it. It's really not that big of a deal.
It's not that huge of a deal. No. It's a match that's gonna be a great spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
It'll last probably no more than 5 minutes, and it's outside the title scene.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, it's 7 minutes. So
5. It's gonna be less than 5.
What's our over under? Is it 5?
Probably like 5.5.
6. Okay. Because I say, ooh, I don't know if I like 7, dude. I do think there's going to be a lot of walking around in this match, though. I really think that.
No, I don't think Brock really cares for the walking around.
All right. So we'll get there. No, I like the conspiracy theory, and I think that it's totally within reason. Like you said, Brock and Vince are close. Brock walked out when Vince was ousted from the company, and then they had to bring him back or call Goldberg or something. So no, that makes sense. It's interesting though. It's like, you have to appreciate, you and I can both kind of agree. If Brock Lesnar was like, strong-armed into a match with Bray Wyatt, guess what? That match would suck. The build would suck. Everything about it would suck. If Brock was...
the match with Dean Ambrose that Brock had.
That's exactly what it would be.
Yeah.
If Brock was really into the idea, hey, we might have gotten something pretty interesting. If he really want to work with Bray. It's not shocking that he wouldn't, though. And it doesn't even have to be like some sort of animosity-based thing. For all we know, they get along great, and Brock is just like, you know what? Your thing just isn't, it's not my deal. I don't do well with...
That makes all the sense in the world, too, yeah.
Even when it was The Undertaker, they didn't really stress the powers of darkness stuff. Undertaker basically turned into old man MMA when him and Brock... And I think Undertaker really enjoyed that, and clearly Brock really enjoyed it. But the stuff with, and the thing that I love about Lashley is that I think that Lashley is the kind of guy who actually enjoys stepping outside maybe the comfort zone a little bit. He has indicated in the past in interviews and whatnot, there was that one that you had brought up a while ago that he said he wanted to go do an angle where he like got fat or something.
Yeah. He pitched it apparently.
He's not going to sit around and like veto ideas. He's going to take everything that they give him and he's going to be a professional about it and work with it. And that's awesome. And I hope that him and Bray are able to really collaborate on something that's interesting. I just get the feeling from every interview that I've ever seen with Bobby Lashley that he is down for interesting stuff. And because of his size, because of his background, he's sort of shoehorned into what we typically see with Bobby Lashley. Maybe the guy wants to step out of that comfort zone a little bit. I'd like to think that's the case.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, so yeah, Brock and Omos It's going to be a short match. It's going to be a monster thing where he's going to try to F5 Amos, and when he gets it, it's going to be impressive, and that's going to be fine. It doesn't mean that Vince McMahon, who's already been confirmed as having consulted with Triple H about stuff, but there's no evidence to suggest that he's back there ripping up scripts.
Yep.
Vince is along for the ride.
Yep.
It's to be expected, to be honest with you.
Yep. Totally. And yeah, the fact that Vince would potentially pitch ideas to Triple H is nothing new. Triple H has mentioned it. So So yeah. Anyways, AEW Revolution is on the horizon. Dynamite, the last Dynamite before Revolution went down. What was your overall feeling for the go-home episode of Dynamite? Meh.
Big old meh, M-E-H, meh?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the promo to close the show was really good. I thought Danielson laid out a strong case why he should win. He's not going to, unfortunately. I thought that promo to close the show was really good. I like that Powerhouse Hobbs won the Face the Revolution ladder match. I don't like that he's probably going to lose on Dynamite to either Joe. Well, he's got a better chance of beating Joe than Wardlow. If Wardlow wins at Revolution, I don't feel like he's going to lose the belt the next Wednesday to Powerhouse Hobbs. But
crazier thing, like, remember the TNT title with Sammy and Cody?
Yeah.
That shit was changing hands left and right.
I kind of feel like that's a bit of an outlier, though.
If Tony wants like some shocking stuff going down, some real WCW type stuff, WCW 2000 type stuff, maybe he'll go there. I'll be honest with you, man. I feel like the way that they have, and granted, it hasn't been like the biggest, the Book of Hobbs repackaging hasn't been nearly as featured as it should be. That being said, I wouldn't be shocked if any number of things would happen. I wouldn't be shocked if Joe found a way to beat Wardlow. I wouldn't be shocked if
I guess the most likely scenario, sorry to interrupt, to see Hobbs get the win is Wardlow beats Joe at Revolution, and then during Hobbs-Wardlow's match, Joe interferes to cost Wardlow the title and Hobbs wins it.
That could be. I really enjoyed when those guys had a triple threat. I thought it was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
And it seems like we might get some chance at revisiting it. I don't know exactly how that would go down, but I'll put it this way. Nothing at this point that Tony Khan does would necessarily shock me. I'd be shocked if Danielson won. But in terms of the TNT title, it has a history of sort of changing hands, on a dime sometimes. And if he found a way to, keep things weird and unpredictable with it, I wouldn't be surprised about that. I just wouldn't. I was surprised and kind of I was shocked when Joe won that one.
Yeah.
He's a double champion guy. I was shocked about that.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising.
And this I'll put it this way. If it was a foregone conclusion that Wardlow was going to beat Joe and Wardlow was going to beat the first guy who's going to step up to him, kind of surprised they do this with Hobbs, just because of how they've been, packaging him. Anyways, he's been racking up wins on the YouTube shows, and I know that's sort of whatever, but it's kind of not whatever. Anybody else, Takeshita can take big losses to people. Commanders knew he could
think. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Commanders knew he could take a loss to somebody. Everybody in that match could have taken a loss, an easy, quick loss to Wardlow. Hobbs in waiting makes me think Hobbs might walk out of this entire thing as TNT champion. Maybe not, but we'll see. I don't think if it was anybody else, it'd be a foregone conclusion.
Absolutely. I agree with that. But, I really want Hobbs to walk out of Dynamite next Wednesday as TNT champ. Just based on AEW booking, I'm not necessarily getting my hopes up, though.
I agree. Yeah.
And then an interesting thing came about yesterday. So traditionally in these casino ladder matches, casino battle royals, there's a Joker. And the Joker is a surprise. You don't know who the Joker is to the last entrant. So we had a casino tag team battle royal last night with 11 teams. Earlier in the show, it was announced that Chuck and Trent weren't clear to compete. Therefore, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen were taking their place.
Yeah.
So the match begins. We see all the teams enter. No Joker.
Yeah.
Therefore, no FTR.
Yeah.
A surprise team that would have made all the sense in the world given their history with Gun Club, with the Acclaimed, and it'd be cool to see them compete against Double J and Jay Lethal, Triple J.
Yeah.
However, no FTR, no Joker at all.
So in 2021 at Revolution, they did a tag team casino battle royal, and there was no Joker there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at the Dynamite because I'm looking at the Wikipedia page because I'd seen on Twitter somebody had mentioned the 2021 specifically did not have a Joker. The March 2nd, 2022 Casino Battle Royal, the Young Bucks won that. I don't know. It doesn't say here if there was a Joker. However, on all the other ones, when it was just like the men's singles ones, there was, well, that one says it. So I don't know. If somebody can look up the March 2nd, 2022 episode of Dynamite with the Casino Battle Royale for tag teams, you can let us know if there was a Joker. So, I mean, yeah, they didn't really talk, at least in this one, they didn't talk about a Joker. I don't think.
No, they didn't.
But like you said, it's reasonable to assume that there was going to be a Joker. And, but it does seem like, because I saw also people saying, maybe, well, you said, and then I also saw online some speculation that maybe the Hardys, given that Jeff is sort of, done with his court stuff anyways. No FTR, evidently the stuff that Dax has been talking about with, about AEW and potentially some issues there. Yeah. Now that their contract is going to be up next month. Evidently that's all stuff that might preclude them from appearing again in AEW.
Well,
sadly.
Potentially. Yeah. So this is what Dax had to say on the show that was released yesterday before Dynamite.
Was this the Pinnacle episode?
Yeah, he talked a lot about the Pinnacle and how he didn't feel like it necessarily worked for FTR. But as far as them coming back, he kind of no-sold the question about whether they were going to be a mystery team in the Battle Royal. But this is what he said elsewhere. Quote, "We have reached out and said, hey, we will come back and work until our contracts are up. We're okay with that. We took a couple months off to let our bodies heal, to think about what we want to do. So we've made it known that we will gladly come back, and at the very least until our contracts are up or until we come to some middle ground or not and leave. But I haven't necessarily heard anything back. I had a feeling they were not very happy with us. Now, despite what we saw last night, Worked Wrestling, or WRKD Wrestling, I'm guessing it's Worked, on Twitter, tweeted the following. Quote, despite how things may seem, as of right now, FTR are still the team slated to eventually take the AEW tag titles off the Gun Club. So Worked Wrestling, it was the outlet that reported that Trish and Lita were returning to WWE. Last night would have made all the sense in the world to have them in that Battle Royal and win it. The only thing I could think of, if this is true, if FTR, granted, time's running out, though, on their deals, unless they've already
I'm sorry, when did this tweet go up?
Yesterday, after Dynamite, I believe.
Oh, after Dynamite? Okay.
I believe. Last night seemed like the perfect opportunity to get them in this tag match, have them win it, feud with the Gun Club briefly, and then if they're leaving, drop the tag titles to the Acclaimed again, or something like that.
Yeah.
But if they're not in the four-way match on Sunday, and if this is true, that means the Gun Club are retaining, which, and then you have about a month, assuming FTR hasn't re-signed already, to have that whole story play out. And I not that it's impossible, it just doesn't make a ton of sense.
No, it doesn't. I'd sort of believe that one when I see it, because that doesn't make any sense. So I confirmed on the, what is this? Oh, All Elite Wrestling Zone results for Dynamite March 2nd, 2022, no Joker.
Okay.
So seemingly in the tag team,
no Jokers.
Battle Royals, no Jokers. Which it's a casino battle royal. Joker's the fun part.
You'd think so, yeah.
Who's it going to be?
Apparently for the tag team battle royals, they don't love that Joker.
They don't love that Joker. They're Brand X.
Brand X.
So yeah, disappointing. I mean, I know some of it is like us just sort of fantasy booking shit and then getting our hopes up, but I thought there was a lot of logic to that, and especially when Dax being so vocal about anti-AEW sentiment, basically, kind of. What did you think of? Did you read the comments about Pinnacle and what he thought about all that? How he thought that it was basically just a platform for MJF to elevate himself. I
mean, I thought it seemed pretty evident that's what it was when they launched it. Just as a viewer, that this was a way to help get MJF over. Yeah, I mean that's what I assumed it was. So.
See, I never really took it. I didn't take it exclusively as that. I honestly thought that they were going to use those guys to all get themselves even more over, like, you know, the shout out to the Horsemen, basically.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing to see that just simply wasn't in the plans, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. And if it's a situation where it was pitched a certain way to FTR, to Sean Spears, to Wardlow, to Tully, that, hey, this is the plan, and then it all turns out just to be a vehicle to get MJF more over, then that obviously is a bummer. You don't want creative plans being misrepresented to you, so you agree to them.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Like, do you think for a second they went and said, hey, FTR, Sean, we're going to put you with MJF to make him look better, but you guys aren't going to get anything out of it?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Not.
Like, I don't know.
They never would have said that.
I don't think wrestling really works like that. I think you just sort of go and be like, hey, we're going to put you guys together as a group. Oh, cool. Like, the idea is, okay, cool. We're all going to work together to get the entirety of us over. And then, like, it just fizzled out. Like, you remember really Pinnacle just sort of fizzled out. It was like, okay, well, I guess they did the MJF thing, and now it's all they're needed for.
I guess when they launched Pinnacle and seeing how MJF was so front and center in the creation of it, in the feud between Pinnacle and Inner Circle, it just seemed to me, okay, this is just a way for MJF to lead his faction to get him to another level, and if it works to get everybody else more involved, more over, cool. But I think, you know, just watching it seemed to me, not obviously, but it seemed to me the ultimate goal was to get MJF more over.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, yeah, disappointing that FTR wasn't there, and this is sort of how it's going to end up. I guess we can enjoy them on it's going to be a loaded Raw after Mania, I tell you what.
The possibility exists. You could have Jay White there. You could have the Revival come back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Finn Balor inferred in an interview lately that a Judgment Day could be expanding their ranks. So.
Oh man,
Switchblade in there.
Bring in the Knife Pervert and maybe Tamatanga.
Pretty cool. So before
neat.
We get to the recap, so this was on Twitter, not on the show, but you notice that Eddie Kingston came out for the Face of Revolution ladder match and then seemingly quickly disappeared. Well, apparently him and Ortiz were brawling to the back after the show. There's a Twitter interview with him where Lexi asks, what's going on? You requested this time. What do you got to say? And he just says, I quit AEW. Peace, and leaves.
Yeah, he's out of there. He's done.
Now, if you've seen anything involving the first round of Ring of Honor tapings, he didn't quit working for the company.
Look at this spoiler buster right here. Yeah, I felt like it was kind of obvious when he shows up, like he's on TV. They actually, not TV, but whatever. They release this thing.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, I'm quitting AEW. That's not how people usually quit wrestling companies. They don't really do that.
No, they don't do it in an interview professionally photographed by AEW cameramen. No.
Right, exactly. Eddie Kingston, though, he's been very vocal, very also anti-AEW vocal lately on Twitter. In this case, I do kind of feel like Tony probably said, hey, we want to load up this Ring of Honor stuff and you'd be a great name for it. Eddie's done a lot of stuff in AEW, but he's also been one of the more underutilized guy over the last 12 months or so.
Yeah.
When he caught fire in AEW, it was like nothing else.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame. Man, I go back to his feud with Punk and just how that to me was where the promo meet was, not the MJF Punk stuff. I thought there was a lot of great stuff there, but for me, I want to see Eddie and Punk go at it for 3 months. And they had that one match, and then they just moved right on.
Yep.
And I was pretty disappointed by that. Eddie Kingston is just another level. Probably him, Joe, maybe the Redeemer if he was still around. Some of the best promos you could ask for in all of wrestling. But Eddie is definitely, I might put Eddie at tops, to be honest with you. He's so damn good.
So good. So without getting to spoiler territory, I won't say like the story that Eddie's involved in, but it's promising. You just got to hope that Ring of Honor isn't the destination for Eddie. This is a story arc they're telling there, and then maybe he'll be back on AEW TV. And no slight to Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor just on Honor Club and Dynamite and Rampage are on cable television. You know, I want to see Eddie Kingston on cable television.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I don't know how much, because there's only so much bandwidth here on the show. Eddie Kingston will make me tune into Ring of Honor, you know, like, and that's a really good use for him to, you know, bring people in. If he has a prominent position on Ring of Honor, it'll make a good case in case once TV negotiations come back, that's something they can point to and be like, hey, you know, on True TV, do you want this? So, I mean, it's a possibility, which on True TV, it might actually do better numbers than Rampage does on TNT. But yeah, no, you know, putting him on Ring of Honor is going to have a solid roster. They're going to have a really solid roster. And I don't know how long their shows are going to be. If it's going to be 1 hour or 2 hours. But Ring of Honor, it might end up being a really, really fun show. I think it'd be awesome if Tony Khan maybe just laid out the broad strokes and let somebody else do the meat of the creative, because at that point, you know, it'll be better than Rampage and Dynamite, because the roster is going to be really good over there.
Yeah. You know, speaking from a creative standpoint, we can go to our go home show here for Go Home Dynamite for Revolution. Again, like the Danielson bit. But then you got this story. It's a fairly highly anticipated bout between the Elite and House of Black.
Oh God!
And they have done the absolute bare minimum to motivate this match. It's a situation where
last night.
What's that?
I said I had forgotten that happened last night.
Yeah, I know. So it seems to be too common of an occurrence on AEW television of late. Is that all right? We'll do just enough to motivate this match. It's a match everybody wants to see. Because of that, the match sells itself. And I feel like that's just the philosophy there, more so than let's tell actual interesting stories to get people invested in the outcome of the matches, not just for a match that's going to feature some really good wrestling. Because the Elite versus House of Black, from a wrestling standpoint, is going to be phenomenal.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Match. Yeah.
But if there was some real meat to it in terms of the story, it could be so much better. So last night, the Elite come out for, I guess, an interview or a promo or something. They're on the stage doing their entrance, doing their poses. Lights go down. Lights come back up. House of Black standing behind them. Lights go down again. You hear a bunch of fighting sounds. Oof, punch, kick.
It's like a Batman. It's like the 60s Batman show.
Pow.
Kapow.
Lights come back up. House of Black are holding the trios titles. Lights go out again. And it's just the same stuff with House of Black, where it's mind games with playing with the light switch.
Yeah.
I need more. What's their mission? I know the House of Black had a promo later on, which didn't really state out their mission, why they're targeting the Elite, apart from winning those titles, apparently.
Yeah.
But House of Black seems like a faction whose motives should exist at least partially above championships.
Yeah.
Because they have, despite horrible booking for a while, they still have some little bit of mystique to them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Their presentation is outstanding.
It's fantastic. And rather than pushing them as a force, a destructive force within AEW, they show up, they play with the light switch a little bit, and they hold some titles. You know? And from a presentation standpoint, it's great, but it could be so much more. And you could tell some really interesting stories like I thought we were going to get with Miro and House of Black.
Dude, so can we just pause here and just say how sad it must be, how deflating it must be to be, especially Malachi.
Mm-hmm.
You know this dude, when Vince had him locked in a room for a year straight, and he'd do these promos, even those promos, he would put effort into like the lighting color. You know, they were supposed to reflect his opponent's ring gear.
Yeah.
This dude tries his damnedest to do creative stuff with everything. Look at what they've been given so far, right? So last night, Miro, right, which could have been amazing. Well, Miro has problems with creative, or he got injured, or some mix of the two of them. So they're out with that. So then they have to mill about a little bit. Oh, the Elite are back. The Elite have this really great 7-match series, but all of a sudden it seems for some reason, I don't know whose fault it is, but for some reason, the Elite are not involved or have zero ambition behind the creative. I don't know if it's them. I don't know if it's Tony Khan. I have my silly conspiracy theory, which I say partially tongue-in-cheek, but also wouldn't shock me if it's true, that they're checked out. That they're like, we're going to ride the rest of our contracts out. Tony Khan sat us for 2 months after his golden boy ran down this company that we helped build. Cody's having a great time in WWE. We're sitting this shit out. This is the most checked out feud I have seen in a long time. It's all about, like you just said, flipping a fucking light switch. That's what you're going to bring us? That's fine for Act 1, but that can't be the entire story.
I know.
Can you imagine how deflating it is? You're Malachi. You're Thomas. You're Tom Budget, right? And you show up. Hey, guys, good news. You're working with the Elite. Oh, awesome. Great. That's so much fun. They're champions, right? And they're like the top liners. Their name's in the company.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Sorry, guys, we have no desire. Or, sorry, Tony's got nothing for us, and all we're going to do is flip the fucking light switches. But the matches will be great. What is the deal? Like, what is the deal? Why? Is it them? Is it Tony? Who is it?
I don't know. And I feel doubly bad for Malachi because seemingly this is the second round of this kind of bullshit.
I know.
He went through this bullshit when he first came to AEW. They formed House of Black, and I know injuries got in the way of the Death Triangle feud. They were feuding with Fuego for months for some reason, and it seemed like he just got to the point where he threw his hands up and says, "I don't want to deal with this anymore. I need to walk away." Comes back, and it's seemingly the same old bullshit, And I don't know what the deal is. If it's simply a situation of Tony Khan putting the bare minimum of effort into creative to motivate these matches, if there's something with the Elite, I don't know. But I feel awful for Malachi because this is the second time this kind of shit has happened. And if they go on to lose at Revolution,
oh God,
like,
you know what? I would guarantee Malachi would be fine losing at Revolution
if there's a good story.
If it meant there was a good story, or if it meant he got to move on to somebody who actually, I'm sorry, dude. They're EVPs in the company, which I know doesn't mean that they can't be, suspended for 2 months, but they're EVPs. You would think that they would have some say over the direction of their creative. You would think.
So. You think so?
Right? Like their name's in the title of the company.
I know.
Like, are you telling me that, not you, am I supposed to believe? Am I supposed to believe that the Elite are only given a couple minutes per week to build this feud, and all they can fit in is a bunch of light switches? Like, that's the extent of what they're given in TV time. You're telling me that they can't scrounge up 7 minutes per week for some meaty segments to actually explore this feud?
I know. And how many segments were the Elite in a basketball gym seeing who could palm a basketball?
Like,
and if this is the direction you're going, and you know this at least a month before Revolution, then give us some build to it.
How do you not put that on? How do you not put that on the Elite? I mean, if you're Tony Khan, you say, hey, 7 minutes, come up with some really creative stuff, right? I mean, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And then they're like, oh, no, we're not going to do. I don't know. I don't know what the disconnect is. It seems like they are checked out. It seems like they're checked out, and the Young Bucks just want to have their Aussie Open match because they're fun to work with or whatever. And Kenny, we did that count out yesterday, top 10 best AEW storylines. And you see, when you go back and you watch the packages of Kenny and Mox, oh my God, Kenny was inspired.
Yeah.
All that shit was so inspired. His belt collector run, so inspired.
Great. Yeah.
Your trios champions. This is what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Do something with it.
Part of if situation where the Elite to some degree are checked out, Kenny's been making the interview rounds of late. He was on Swerve's podcast. He was on Renee Paquette's podcast. And he talks a lot about his role in the company. I think when he's talking to Renee, he inferred that he kind of wishes he could get back to just being a wrestler.
Yeah,
executive, and talking on the Swerve's podcast so much about how story is so important to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, part of me wonders if he would be more into doing something more, But he's trios champs with his best friends, so if they're a package deal.
Yeah.
And if any members of the elite are not really too enthused about a particular situation, well, then maybe just by default they all have to be not too enthused.
That
about
could
the
be.
situation.
No, that could be. That could be. So I don't know who's Tony Khan. He's the final word on things.
Yeah, I know. Ultimately, it's all it all comes down to him. If even if the elite for whatever reason are not into something coming up with something creatively, then it's his job.
Yeah.
Or whoever he's got working with him on creative to come up with something to make this feud a little more interesting than playing with the light switch.
Yeah.
Because you've had weeks to do this.
Yeah.
Weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's disappointing. No, it's totally disappointing. It's funny because before you brought it up, I had totally forgotten that even happened. I forgot that match was happening, but you just feel so bad for Malachi especially.
Yeah.
Because it's like this guy has had, ever since he left NXT, or ever since he was taken out of NXT, it's like first, and I know that him and Ricochet had some fun stuff as a tag team, but it's like clearly not his thing. From the creaking bed that went up, and this guy, he just wants to do some cool shit, man.
I know. Yeah, I feel like he wants to book his character as interesting and tell some good stories. Seems like that's all he wants to do.
Or just run with what he's given. If somebody gives him something,
Yeah.
God, man, it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing.
It really is. I mean, honestly, the one match I am really not even really, but somewhat invested in the outcome is Mox Hangman.
Oh yeah, I've been enjoying that. Yeah,
and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with the women's stuff.
I'm curious to see what's going to happen, but I feel like that's more curious from advancing the story perspective in terms, rather than being actually invested in who comes out on the winning end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
What's the next story beat of this story? Because obviously the story isn't coming to a conclusion, but with Mox and Hangman, this seems like the blow off.
Yeah, right.
And so what does this mean for either party going forward? Historically speaking, when Page goes outside his comfort zone, he loses. He fails.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the point of his promo last night was, I don't like violence. I hate violence, but I know I have to be violent to beat Mox. Well, he's got to step out of his comfort zone, and usually that doesn't bode well for Hangman, historically speaking. But is this a situation where he steps out of his comfort zone and convinces himself that this is what he has to do to get the win here, then actually succeeds?
I think a win here for Hangman does so much more for him than a win for Mox would for anybody else. And that's why, I'm totally going with obviously you and I are big Hangman guys. I love Mox. I think he's phenomenal. But this is a thing where I'm desperate for Hangman to win this match, dude. I think it'll do so much for him. And it'd be great is if, and it'd be so Hangman, he wins the match, but he feels terrible about it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we saw that when he concussed Mox at his win. It's like, oh gosh, I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, so much of Page is all right. This is what I have to do to be a top level star here in AEW, and he doesn't. It's like, oh, it sucks. I have to do this. We saw it in the Adam Cole feud where there's several times where he had to bring himself to raise the level of violence, either to exact some revenge or get the win. In that case, it worked out for him. This is a whole other ball game getting into this Texas Death stuff.
Not match, by the way, just Texas Death.
Texas Death.
I really wish that they would even refer to that on the match card. It sounds cooler, Texas Death, than Texas Death match.
So in terms of adding layers to Hangman's character, him getting the win here, and realizing I had to do it, but I did not enjoy any second of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and feeling awful about it.
Yeah,
because, and I know it was my interpretation of that first promo he had with Punk, where he just went off on Punk out of the ring and had that heavy sigh.
Yeah.
But that's a common thing with Hangman, where he's like, all right, this is what I have to do to be successful around here. Oh, gosh, I hate.
Little
doing
did we know that was a shoot.
yeah, maybe. So,
yeah. Anyways, let's hop into it. Start off with Orange Cassidy versus Big Bill Cassidy, and this is of course for the All Atlantic title. And as sort of wonky as it is to have a giant like Big Bill lose to a little dude like Orange Cassidy, hey, Orange Cassidy pulled it off.
Yeah,
and you can't teach that.
I mean, it was a fun bout. Big Bill got a choke slam Orange through a table ringside. At one point, Danhausen's there trying to curse Big Bill. Bill grabs him looking for a choke slam, and Stokely goes, "No, put him down." And then so Stokely blasts Danhausen with his cast. That allows Orange to hit Bill and Stokely with a suicide dive. He hits Orange punch on Big Bill's leg, and then drop kicks him to the ring steps. We're back in the ring. Orange hits a tornado DDT, 2 standard Orange punches, and then one off the top rope to get the win. So it's not like it was simply a beach break. Big Bill loses or a single Orange punch. It took 3 finishers, basically for Orange to get the win here.
I should have stayed in Impact Wrestling until Hunter gave me a call. Should have read the writing on the wall, and you can't teach that. Well, you can actually teach reading, Bill. They do it in from the beginning of school. Anyways. After that, we had a very, very bloody Mox promo. So it took place last week after Dynamite. He's in a stairwell. I liked how this, number one, it was all one take, which was great. I mean, I know promos typically don't, cut or whatever, but it was a long promo.
It was.
He was just bleeding. There was blood all over the stairwell. It was pretty great. He didn't really say anything new, but he punctuated. He says, I beat you once, sent you to the hospital, barely breaking a sweat, and I didn't get credit for it. Next time it was an accident. You beat me. I come back from a concussion and I beat you. I do the same thing you did to me and you got praised for it. You got flowers and awards for it. I didn't get nothing. They told me it wasn't real. It was a fluke. It didn't count. That's what I'd say too if I got beat by a wrestling move I learned in fucking 7th grade. This time I'll leave no doubt. You're a great wrestler, a great man, but you're not the same animal as me, and there's only one room for one of these animals in AEW. Only room for one animal like me, and I'll die to protect what's mine. Texas death.
Texas death. Yeah, he's bleeding a ton.
Yeah,
it was numerous.
It was very good stuff.
Numerous puddles of blood on the stairs.
Multiple
he wasn't standing still. He was getting up and moving around a little bit and in and out of focus. Yeah,
he was very much like a caged animal. I mean, I'm glad the stairwell was perfect because it's all closed in and everything.
Exactly. Then we had the aforementioned elite bit with House of Black playing with the light switch. Don't really need to get into that too much more. Then we had Face the Revolution ladder match, which was a lot of fun. Samoa Joe was on commentary. Had Hobbs, Takeshita, Commander, AR Fox, Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara. This was wildly fun.
So I'm trying to Action Andretti.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
Ortiz and Kingston.
Yes, but they were basically out of the match within the first minute.
They didn't even get to the ring. I don't think they just brawled to the top and just left.
Did.
Yeah. A bunch of just you have to look away sometimes, like when Sammy Guevara goes up to the top of the ladder, he looks at the camera, does the I'm crazy thing. It's like, oh, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be when it all goes wrong.
It was a very tall ladder.
But he hits it every time. He gets it. He does it, and he comes out okay. Yeah. There was some nasty spots with him, Andretti, freaking Commander. Huge debut for him with some of the most, memeable, gifable, whatever shots of him running on the ropes, doing beautiful moonsaults after running ropes.
Oh, that was man. Awesome. The air he got on that was insane.
That Blue Thunder Bomb he took from Takeshita off the ladder was nuts.
Yeah.
Takeshita had a bunch of great bits.
Yeah.
Hobbs was just laying everybody out, and eventually he did climb up, got the ring, was stuck up at the top of the ladder. I felt so bad for the guy. It was funny because the crowd, they were the Cow Palace. He's from the Bay, and when he got that first, he had to take that little. I don't know if you watched. There's some fan video of him actually getting down. Yeah. And he's going down, he's kind of shaky. And then he takes that first sort of step of faith down the first rung and he hits it and he's able to get his hands on the ladder and the crowd pops big for him. And he goes like this. He acknowledges that. He's like, hey, I'm safe. It was a great bit, man. I love Hobbs. And man, I hope somehow, some way he walks out of all this with a TNT title.
Same. So after the match, Samoa Joe gets up from commentary to talk some trash to Hobbs. So then Wardlow comes out to confront Joe. So you got security out there trying to keep them apart. And Hobbs is sitting in a chair holding his ring,
yeah.
just watching and laughing. He's enjoying this.
Yeah.
So Wardlow's beating up all the security. He takes one of the security guards and power bombs him off the stage on the other security guards. And while Wardlow's fed off security, Joe just slips past him and goes backstage.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to turn out, man. I mean, there's a number, especially with Ring of Honor, Joe being Ring of Honor champion. I mean, this is what I hope happens.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is what I hope happens. Joe wins by using a shot to the head to Wardlow with the title, with one of the titles, right? Maybe he tries it with one of the titles. Ref takes it away from him. He uses the other title while the ref is getting rid of the first title. He wins that match. In his match against Hobbs, Wardlow screws Joe. I think you mentioned something like that at the head of the show.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like based on Wardlow's promo or interview with JR, it seems near certainty that Wardlow's going to win at Revolution.
I think so. Okay.
That makes sense with the story. And then you could have a situation where on Dynamite after, Hobbs versus Wardlow, Joe costs Wardlow the match. Joe says, "No, I want a shot at you, Hobbs." Wardlow costs Joe that match. Then they have some blow-off bout with some stipulation that's like super physical or whatever. Wardlow wins that one. That's what I feel like. That's best case scenario. Best
case scenario is doesn't matter who wins on Revolution. Hobbs wins in Sacramento when we are there.
Exactly.
That's let's be clear. That's best case scenario.
Yeah, that's what we care most about is Hobbs walking out of Dynamite next week in Sacramento as TNT champion.
We're there.
Yes.
We're there. He wins.
You were asking what sign to make.
Yeah, that's the
Hobbs
one.
for TNT champion. That's the sign you have.
Push Hobbs. Yeah. After that, we had Best Friends interview. Renee says, Trent and Chuck, talking about two more people who might be not too happy with AEW. She says, Trent and Chuck aren't cleared for the tag battle royal. Well, we know that's ridiculous because it's all kayfabe. And if you look at the look on their faces, maybe they're just performing. They don't seem too happy about that.
No, they don't seem terribly enthused about it, no.
But Danhausen's like, yeah, me and Orange are. We'll take their spot. And Renee's like, Orange, you good to go? And the trainer's tending to him. And he's like, I don't care, but he's in pain. So I don't know. People love Orange Cassidy and they love Danhausen. I think that Tony Khan probably has like some analytics to show people just love Orange Cassidy. I think his videos on their YouTube channel are like far and away the most popular ones.
Yeah.
After that, we had Pretty Peter Avalon versus Chris Jericho. Jericho hits a code breaker on this to get the
After
win.
like Avalon gets a bunch of his stuff in.
Yeah. So Jericho grabs Floyd the Bat, blasts Avalon in the head with him, gets a bunch more shots in. Ricky Starks comes running down to the ring to make the save. Jericho gets the mic, says, Starks, a revolution. I'm going to beat the hell out of you one-on-one. No Jericho Appreciation Society on Sunday. That doesn't mean they're not here tonight. So Hager and Garcia hit the ring. They beat down Starks. Jericho joins in. Hager hits Starks with a big slam. Garcia hits a Uranagi, and then Jericho lays him out with a Judas effect. 1,000 confidence points on Ricky Starks going into
Revolution. Yeah, Ricky Starks should probably win, although it's possible that Jericho can make a phone call to somebody else to help him get the win here.
Could be.
Since there's no JAS ringside.
You think they would do that to actually motivate another match with these two?
No, because I feel like they need to finish this feud and have Starks come out the winning end. So Starks needs to win this.
All right.
So I hope it doesn't happen. After that, we had a Hangman Page promo. He's like hanging out under a freeway or an overpass or something like that. He says on Sunday it's the finale. Hangman mocks Texas Death.
Texas Death.
He says, I talked to the Dark Order today, and I don't think he meant anything by it, but Alex said, if this is the end of you and Mox, aren't you a little bit afraid of losing? And he says, well, really, this match is all I got left to lose. I had the AEW title, and I lost that. I had another shot at it, and Mox took that away from me. You can't take my friends away from me. You already beat Uno within an inch of his life last week. You can't take my memory from me. It's already gone. You can't take away the feelings, the tips of my fingers. Because I ain't got that no more, and you can't take away my heart because you couldn't carry it. This Sunday, John, I take everything away from you. I take your spot at the top of the food chain. I take away your pride. At the end of the throes of war, I'm the man left standing. Says, you're right. I'm not the same kind of animal as you. I don't enjoy violence. I hate it. I hate it to its core. But Sunday, I'll be the most violent, bloodthirsty son of a bitch you have ever seen, not in spite of that, but because of it. Because that is who I know I have to beat you. And beating you is the last glimmer of hope that I do have here, John. This is Texas death. And there's only two ways out. Either you live or you die, and I ain't done living. John, after Sunday, you're never going to be the same.
John.
John.
Yeah, he's got a lot of health issues that he probably should go get the tips of his fingers.
Yeah.
Yeesh. That
Yeah.
doesn't sound good. He hates
So
violence.
getting back to the idea of giving the Elite and House of Black some more to tell their story, they could have cut some of this Christian Cage interview to accomplish that.
As long as they didn't cut the part where Alto held up a sign that said Larson fears JR. Oh,
Absolutely
my.
not. You don't cut that out. But
my.
This went on forever.
Yeah, this did go on for a long time. Renee, you don't, for one thing, probably don't start up an interview with just the general, what's going on?
Yeah, I know.
Because that just opens the floodgates.
This apparently stream of consciousness.
Yeah, typical stuff. Talks about Jungle Boy not being Jack Perry. They're dropping the Jungle Boy stuff. At this point, it's like a little thing on his name, and they have his full name there. Saying you don't have what it takes because last week you couldn't hit the concerto. You hesitated. I showed you how a real man does it. Talks some more crap about his dad. You don't have any grit. You don't have an ounce of what I have inside. And then the lights go down. And there's a video of Jungle Boy, of Jack Perry, digging a grave. And it's like a really cheap tombstone.
It's probably made of styrofoam.
Yeah, if that. It was like, yeah. Of course, it says Christian Cage.
Yeah.
Was written on it. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is.
Christian challenged Jungle Boy to a no-holds-barred match at Revolution.
It'll
he just
be
took the long road to get there.
Yeah, it's the scenic route. It'll be a good match. It'll be a good match. But Jack Perry needs to be done.
Yeah, Jungle Boy is 1,000% winning this, and he's done. Yeah,
he needs to be done with this, and Christian Cage needs to be done with this as well. I don't know what he does after this.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But yeah, they all need to be done with this.
They do. After that, we had a Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker interview. So Jamie says about the match at Revolution, Anos could be sweeter, beating one bitch or two. And then Britt says, and tonight, Saraya, you can watch two former AEW Women's Champions duke it out in the ring. But guess what? You can look, but you can't touch.
Ah, what?
You're never going to have that belt. And Jamie adds, it's Saraya. If you want to call up some shenanigans, go ahead. We'll be there watching and looking out for you.
Are the Bellas even allowed
Cleared?
to do contractually or medically? Are they allowed to do any of this stuff?
Medically, I don't know. Contractually, I don't know because I'm sure WWE has a hand in producing all of their reality show stuff.
You would think so. Yeah, I don't know. I know that they had some beef.
But then Danielson was on an episode of the Nikki Bella Gets Married. He was there.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he's still showing up on there on occasion.
Does anyone? We'll have to contact our insiders and find. Oh, we don't have any insiders.
We don't have any insiders.
We
have no insiders, Steve. What are you talking about?
Bummer. After that, we had Matt Hardy versus the returning Hook.
This match was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, dude. Stokely's hilarious, man.
Oh, he's great.
He's so great. His reaction at the end of this was awesome. So yeah, they do all sorts of stuff to try to take Hook out, but none of it works.
No.
Including what did they hit? Oh, that's right. They hit Hook with the cast.
Yeah, Stokely takes it off.
Yeah, and then Paige blasts Hook with it. Hardy covers, but only gets a 2. Hardy calls for a twist of fate. Hook versus that in a red rum, and Hardy taps out immediately.
So that means Stokely has to face Hook in a no DQ match with none of the firm ringside.
That's right. They sort of geeked their way out into putting Stokely in that situation.
So after the match, he's sitting against the barricade, just freaking out.
Yeah, he's
there was a interview they put on Twitter afterwards where it's him and Paige, and Lexi's trying to get a word from Stokely about the match, and he's not saying a word.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
he just
funny.
stares at camera, and then eventually Matt Hardy comes in, and it's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I lost the match for you, but I had to tap out. I need to make money for you, and I can only do that if I'm healthy, so I had to tap out." And Paige's like, "Yeah, he had to tap out."
Yeah.
And then Cassidy comes up to Stokely. He's like, "Hey," and then Matt Hardy says, "I'll personally train you for this match, so you'll be ready." And then Isaiah comes up to Stokely. He's like, "Yeah, we'll train you." And of course, he does it.
What was Stokely's reaction to the? Because usually he freaks out.
Usually he into it.
Usually he gets really pissed off about it.
Yeah, he wasn't into any of this. Worth checking out. It's really good.
I'll have to check that out. After that, so after the House of Black had stolen the trios titles, they do their little filmed promo where they have those titles. And Malachi says, the greatest enemy is not the enemy made out of flesh and blood. It's a bunch of guys who don't want to work on a cool story with me. See you at Revolution. Anyways, after that, we had Tony. He didn't actually say that. Doesn't matter what he said. They dropped the titles at the end. Like, hey, we stole it, but we didn't really steal it.
Yeah, these belong to you.
Yeah. After that, we had Tony Storm versus Riho. This was awesome because we put some channel points on Riho after everybody was betting on Tony Storm, and we came out big winners.
Huge winners.
Huge winners. Yes. But yeah, so all sorts of shenanigans here with Britt, Jamie. They were there. Saraya, of course, was there. She was trying to distract. All sorts of stuff here. And in the end, it was a roll-up here. So Tony locks on a cloverleaf. Britt gets on the apron. Tony goes after her. And Rio gets the roll-up win on Tony for the win. Britt brawls with Tony up the ramp. Jamie and Saraya brawl in the ring. Ruby runs to the ring and attacks them both. So after seeing this, do you have any more insight? Have you developed any more of an opinion as far as how this match is going to play out at Revolution?
No, so I'll default to saying the champion retains.
The champion's definitely going to retain. Yeah. But I don't know. Is Ruby going to choose a side? I feel like that's more important than the championship.
Which speaks to not terribly good creative then. Especially in this whole situation, Ruby's been very
better than I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you.
Ruby has been very clear through this whole thing is that she's not getting involved in their business. She's focusing on the title.
It's not an option.
And then for her to be like, I'm choosing a side now, I'd be feel kind of like,
I want something unpredictable and creative and logical. Is that too much to ask? Probably.
Might be.
Probably.
This juncture might be.
Let's talk about Keith Lee and Dustin. They had a promo.
Yeah, so Keith starts. He said, let's talk urgency. You see Dustin Rhodes, who I like to call Dusty, dragged me over to saying we need to deliver a message to the Mogul affiliates, and I regret to inform you that I forgot my lovely jacket, but this is more than what you've done to us. This is about what you could do to others, and I personally will not have it. So he turns to Dustin and says, what is it you'd like to say? So Dustin says, darkness has fallen over the city of San Francisco on this Friday Night Live on Rampage. You're going to find out that we don't like playing games. We are naturally limitless, and you remember our name. Does it feel like they've kind of overcomplicated this storyline? This should just be about Keith Lee and Swerve. I understand Swerve has a faction. You can understand the motivation of Swerve having a faction, considering he just betrayed Keith Lee. And I guess to a certain degree, you'd think, okay, Keith Lee, he's enlisting Dustin as a bit of backup to take on Mogul affiliates, but at the same time, Keith Lee should be coming out and just wanting to tear apart Mogul affiliates with his bare hands.
They shouldn't have a name.
No.
Dustin shouldn't be involved in this at all. Look, this is the easiest thing in the world.
I know.
And it's very satisfying. You have Swerve beat the living shit out of Dustin because of what's his face? Parker Boudreaux on the outside, right? He gets the upper hand in that last match they had. Instead of Dustin oddly about to beat Swerve, they beat the shit out of Dustin, make him bleed. Keith Lee makes the save. Dustin fucks off, and then Keith Lee is on a wrecking mission.
Yes.
He doesn't need a new fancy jacket. If he wants it, great. They don't need a name. They're not a tag team. They're not a faction. Why? No, don't have Keith Lee be in a new group with anybody.
No, he should have one purpose, and that's exacting revenge on Swerve. That's it.
He took a concrete cinder block to him, man.
I know.
That's all the motivation you need. Oh, man, he should be naturally pissed off. No, wait, that natural is the Dustin part.
They should be pissed off without limits. Yes.
Angry with no limits. Yeah, exactly. After that, we had the Casino Battle Royal with no Joker. I guess we just have to remember tag team Battle Royals don't have the...
don't have Jokers. Next time they do it, there'll be a Joker there probably.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then so it was like Dark Order and Blackpool Combat Club with Wheeler Yuta. They get the start. Lucha Bros, Aussie Open all come in. This was fine enough. I mean, when you have like a clusterfuck match already in the episode, that was amazing. This is
satisfying in the outcome. Yes,
this is gonna underwhelm a little bit. And sure enough, the ending was just sort of confusing because it came down to what it was: Danhausen, Orange Cassidy versus Butcher and Blade. I think.
Yeah.
Were the last ones, and then they're about to eliminate Orange, but then Danhausen comes in and he eliminates Butcher and Blade, and so the best friends get the win here, and then a big brawl breaks out between the Triple J group comes out, the Acclaim comes out, Ass Boys are down there too, and then what's her faces, Cassidy and Danhausen, are all there.
They probably should have changed the position of have this where the ladder match was and the ladder match right before the main event, or a ladder match as the main event.
That could, maybe.
You close the show with the image of Hobbs holding that golden ring.
Well, I think maybe.
Ring, sorry.
Here's the thing is, but you got to have this. The last thing is always going to be the MJF Danielson stuff.
Oh, I know.
So like, I get you put the ladder match on early to keep people on watching. And then you could put this snooze fest on here, knowing that MJF and Danielson, and really the intrigue is, are they going to be able to wrap this up by the time? That
really is. It starts at like 56 minutes after the hour. They have 4 minutes to do all this. Yeah.
Danielson comes down and he has to do a Micro Machines guy. Oh, MJF, I got a problem with Revolution.
Somehow he gets it all in.
Kick your fucking head in.
I know. Yeah, it all leads up to that. So we have a MJF Danielson video package where they, people from in the company talk about the match and maybe their picks and stuff. So then we have Danielson coming for an interview. Renee asked him about a social media post in 2014 from MJF where he talks about dropping out of college and starting to pursue his dreams to become a wrestler. And then Danielson says, here's the thing. A little over 7 years ago, I was forced to retire. 2 years later, I came back and said, if you fight for your dreams will fight for you. And this is when MJF interrupts. And he's about to talk. And Danielson tells him, shut up. He says, for weeks, I've been hearing all these different reasons why you hate me. You hate me because people respect me, and you think you deserve that respect. You hate me because some people call me the best wrestler in the world, and as AEW champion, you think you deserve that. He says, he hates me because I have a wonderful wife and I have wonderful kids, and he thinks he deserves that. That's why he hates me. You know what, Max? You think you deserve all these things, but you've done nothing to earn them, and you've done nothing to fight for them. You have taken every shortcut that you can to become AEW champion. You haven't fought for that. If there's one thing that you deserve, it's your fiance leaving you.
Yeah. Ooh.
So MJF takes off his jacket and starts to make his way down towards the ring. Danielson continues, pitting shoulders to mats and begging rats. Is that what you do, Max? That doesn't sound like someone I want my daughter to marry. So MJF stops at the foot of the ramp. And Brian continues. He says, you took your jacket off and you want to fight. I'm ready to fight anytime because unlike you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And I've been fighting my whole life. I fought poverty. I fought depression. I fought head injuries. I fought shoulder injuries. I fought retirement. I fought the authority. I fought for everything. Before I came here, I had a job that would have paid me for the rest of my life, but I left and came to AEW because I wanted to fight. When I talk about fighting for dreams, do you know what my new dream is? It's become the AEW World Champion. God damn it, I'm willing to fight for it. This Sunday, you better be ready to fight with everything you have for 60 minutes, and if you don't, you're gonna get your fucking head kicked in.
Of course, they bleep that. They didn't even bleep it. They did the thing where they used crowd noise.
Just covered the whole last clause of that sentence up.
You're gonna get your in.
So MJF just stands there in shock, slowly backs up the ramp, turns, grabs his jacket, and walks backstage.
Womp womp.
It was good stuff. It was good stuff from Danielson, though.
It was. I kind of feel like they, if you're gonna say fucking, then make sure you're not gonna get it bleeped.
Yeah.
So
Mike Mox did that one time.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Or what's the biting guy? Ace Steel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, man,
we got a couple new channel members here. Legit and Big Country gifted a channel membership. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Big Country. Thank you so much, Legit. We appreciate that so much. We also got a super chat here from EP Style. Says, not a wrestling related question, but I'm going to be in Sacramento this weekend. Any good restaurant / bar recommendations?
Ooh.
There's a dude, honestly, downtown if you're going to be like in the downtown area, it is expanded so much you really can't go wrong. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I have not been to even a handful of them, but every time I go to Golden One, I look around, I'm like, God damn, this place is blown up. It
really is. Yeah, they've not completely, they've redone a lot of K Street. You could go to Midtown. There's a lot of good places there. There's pretty much on every corner. There's an interesting place to eat.
Yeah, you can come out to Orangevale and go to Jan's. That's where I hang out, but it's not really like. I go there more for convenience and the people watching, as opposed to like the good culinary delights. Yeah.
And along J Street, there's a bunch of cool stuff too. So
here we go. Yeah. We'll go. Dark Dank Lucha came out for the Hot Stuff show, and he says Old Sac is cool. There's a bar called Honey and the Trap Cat down there. I've never been there before.
I've never heard of it. I thought I'd been all over Old Sac, but maybe not.
I love Old Sac. I think they've done a lot with Old Sac too.
Yeah. Like that if you, down by where the parking area is, that side is predominantly bars.
Yeah. What's that really? There's a really elaborate. What's it? Is it Fanny Ann's? Is that the
one on the corner there? The larger place?
It's like got like 5 different stories, and it's all like crazy shit. What is it?
Yeah. I think I know.
I forget what it's called. Anyways, yeah. You can't go wrong if you go downtown, like near the Golden One Center.
I mean, if you go on. I know Sacramento Bee, the local paper, just had a list of the top restaurants in Sacramento not that long ago. You can go check any of them out, and you'll probably be pretty happy.
Maggie says, I do love the stories from Jan's. It's been like more times than not that I go there and see almost the fight either go down or almost go down. It's wildly fun to watch people do that.
It's been a long time. I haven't been to Jan's since they redone it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. Hey, you should come out, man. This on Saturday. That's where we'll have our beers.
Oh, all right.
Maybe see somebody get into a fight.
Just when
we'll talent scout we'll talent. They don't have pools there, pool tables there. It might be like one of those. They got shuffleboard there. We can scout talent for Action Coast.
Oh, there we go.
People getting into fights and shit.
There we go.
Anyways, we've got some questions. I've got a thread on the YouTube. You've got a thread on the Patreon. You can go ahead and kick things off.
Chris Stanton asks, what match you looking forward to at Revolution the most? Mox and Hangman.
I'd say Mox and Hangman. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Wardlow Joe. Wardlow it's funny, while all the conversation about Wardlow and Mist Creative, he is, for a big dude, he is a fun wrestler. That guy will bust out some moves like, what the fuck was that? Yeah. I like Wardlow as a wrestler. He's all right in my book.
Yeah. Alex Foster asked, if you guys joined House of Black, what would you guys say or do to inevitably get kicked out?
I'd be like, do you guys have any Fritos around here?
Ooh.
Like, no. All of our servings are, I don't know. What do you think they eat?
Not Fritos.
You guys got any peanut butter jelly sandwiches around here?
We don't eat bread.
What do we look like, 7?
Let me guess. You want Welch's grape. He's like, Malachi is super condescending to you. I probably want your Skippy too.
I bet you want Skippy. You pedestrian. Let's see here. On the YouTube, Odd Breakfast says, we've sort of mentioned this. Since FTR wasn't the Joker last night, do you think we'll see him back in AEW?
No.
Nope. I don't care what some dirt sheet tweet says.
I'd be pretty surprised if they came back.
Nope.
Cameron Bordalazzo says, did the referees holding the ladder for Hobbs turn out the wrong way? Turn you the wrong way like it did me. I understand it's for safety, but what could they do instead to make it better? That's what they should do, is hold the ladder. That shit was bent up after he pounced Takeshita off there. I am happy the refs held that, because we don't need to see anybody falling off and getting hurt.
It is a fucking convention, tradition, whatever you want to call it in pro wrestling, that refs hold the ladders. Like, if a wrestler is trying to like enact some action, they're trying to do something, you hold the ladder. It's okay. It doesn't ruin anything. Scoop Bond says, if you could pick a stipulation match for AEW that does not currently exist in their galaxy, but does exist elsewhere, like Elimination Chamber, King of the Mountain, what would it be and who would you put in it?
I think we rated Territory Wrestling the other day, and they had a shark cage match. Give me a shark cage match.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I would go with Karjitsu match.
Good.
You put them in a car, and then they just have to fight there.
Good.
Mark Marquez, how well do you think Bray and Malachi could work together if that was ever possible? I think they'd kill it. I really do.
I do too.
I think that's like a dream match right there, man.
Luis here asks, how would you feel if Cody vacates the Universal Championship and at SummerSlam it was tag team champs Owens and Sammy for it? Who would win, and would there be a heel turn? I feel like there has to be a reason for Cody to not have the Universal Championship other than just him saying, I don't really want this one belt. I don't want this belt. I care about this one.
I'll be honest, man. I'd prefer, like, if he gets both belts, if he actually wins and he gets those titles, I think that he should defend them on a brand status, like, hey, on SmackDown, I'm going to defend the Universal. On Raw, I'm going to defend the World. And then you can maybe split him up that way. But yeah, vacate him, unless it was management before this match saying, hey, we're going to split these titles. Then
or they have a draft, and they say with this draft, we need each brand to have their own championship. So
yeah, if that's the case after he wins them, I'd be okay with that, I guess. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. But him willingly saying, "Yeah, I won this. I don't really want it anymore." No, that's the Fox title, man.
Yeah.
Jonathan Vieira, with Triple H seemingly still in charge, will there still be a yearly release of wrestlers like when Vince was in charge? I don't think Triple H has much to do with that. Well, I don't know. Maybe he does. I mean, if he's in charge of like hiring talent, then he could easily say, "No, I don't want to release them."
Maybe. Yeah, you think that'd be more of a Nick Khan call?
You would think it would be. Yeah, eventually. I mean, he'd say, "Hey, we need to, here's the amount of money from the talent budget we need to save." But it seems like it's going to be more of an NXT based thing where if people aren't progressing, they're going to release them early instead of waiting till they get to main roster, feature them for a week, and then randomly release 20 people.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be done differently.
Yeah, I hope that era is done with. Chill Gaming here in chat has an interesting question. Do you think Tony relies too much on analytics and true storytelling?
I think given the evidence that we have, I think a case could totally be made. It wouldn't shock me if he was very much an analytics guy.
Yeah, and I wonder if he is aware that if you invest time in telling an interesting story to get people over, that will draw ratings. If it's a situation where he looks based just on, regardless of stories being told, he looks at quarter hours, whatever. It's like, oh, Orange Cassidy's popping a number here.
It'd be like how we, our commentary on Dave Meltzer saying Sammy's the draw, not Roman. No, the story's the draw.
Yes, exactly.
The story is the draw. And I think that he needs to recognize that the story can be the draw.
Because if it's a situation where he's looking at numbers and it's like, oh, this wrestler popped a quarter hour, let's start telling stories with them rather than, hey, let's tell stories to get more people to pop quarter hours. I mean, I guess in my mind, that's what, as a booker, as someone who's involved in creative, that should be your goal. I'm going to use stories to help get my wrestlers over, rather than this wrestler's over, time to start telling stories with them.
Yeah. Stephen Orlowski, do you think we'll see any debuts or returns at Revolution? Tony Khan loves his returns and debuts. I just don't know who.
Oh, you don't think Phil's going to show up?
Oh God, not a Revolution.
Imagine the show after, say, the Elite beat House of Black at Revolution, then Phil and FTR return.
That'd be mind-blowing. It really would be. That'd be nuts. I would be shocked if that happened. I would be.
Oh, I'd be pretty surprised, too.
Yeah. That goes beyond surprise, man. Would you be shocked? I mean, It's in the realm of possibility. Like Seth Rollins showing up, I guess, would be a shock.
Yeah, that would be legitimately shocking. That's that's an impossibility. Yeah. Who's under contract elsewhere?
Is that the line for you? Is an impossibility? If Danielson won, you'd be shocked, right?
I'd be pretty surprised,
but not shocked. Interesting. I'd be shocked. I'll be honest. I think my bar for being shocked is lower than yours, perhaps.
It really is, and I think that we look at reaction videos, and that's plainly evident.
Yeah, I know. But if we look at reaction videos where you're not taking notes, your shock face peeps out every once in a while.
That's my surprise face, Steve.
That's your shock face. I know your faces.
What face is this?
That's you're tired of me and you want me to go get some Fritos.
Yes, I want some Fritos.
Oh, there you go. Do you have any other good questions over there on the Patreon?
Blake Whitehouse says, if Larson fears JR, who does Steve fear? I don't fear JR, though.
I fear no man. I mean, you really did call me out that one time, and I'm still kind of shook from it when I mentioned Randy Orton's Evolution vignettes where chicks were pinching his nipples.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's kind of off-putting. And then you fucking turned the tables on me, man. You said you're anti-horny. I was like, oh, damn it. So maybe I fear Randy Orton's nipples.
All right. There you go.
Because you got me on that one. You really got me on that one. You got me there.
I'm happy I got you on something. Lowercase Rocket gifted a bunch of subs. If you got a sub from Lowercase Rocket, give Lowercase Rocket some thanks. Thank you, Lowercase Rocket.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate that, Lowercase Rocket. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Tonight on the Twitch, we will be back for Smash Zone at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Should be a lot of fun. We always have a lot of fun there doing the Smash Zone. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.